Welcome back to the Barrow Podcast, everybody. The show where a self-hating boomer mum and her disgruntled boomerang son reunite to have the conversations they've long been avoiding, and where they utilise their combined insight into divorce, dysfunctional families and mental illness to write a memoir together. I am the dysfunctional, disgruntled. Oh, be careful. I'm the disgruntled millennial son, and beside me, as always, is my mother, Deborah. Good morning, Mum.
Hi, chap.
Hello. Wow. We have, we started this podcast episode, and it kind of went south, or sideways.
Downhill.
I don't think I can release that episode,
No.
Maybe ever. But
it was quite a rant.
Yeah, but as a you know what? I'm gonna just dangle the sort of carrot and say that you know, if you subscribe to the Substack, you might get it as a little Christmas treat later in the year, if I decide to be brave and release my real opinions on a lot of things. Wow. Well. Okay. All right. Look, picking up not from where we were 5 minutes ago, because that got a little nuts. But picking up from where we were last week and, last episode, I mean, and we're moving on. We're moving on into adolescence, okay? Now, what I was thinking about recently, and you actually brought it up over coffee, was it the week just gone, or maybe the week before? I can't remember, but it was like...
You'll have to remind me.
I know, you'll forget, but what I was thinking about was, thinking about two things. And what we talked about were those two things. One was, we were talking about your mum. God bless.
Oh, dear.
Dear departed mother. And the other...
I'm kinder to her now.
I know you are.
Her death.
I know you are. But we're not being kind to her in her death. We're writing a memoir. No, but I was thinking about her, but I was also thinking about, and I suppose it sort of interconnects or something, because I was also thinking about friendships. You brought up your friends, that you're giving me a look like you really don't want to
Come on.
go there.
Well, which ones are you talking about?
Oh, you know.
The ones I've left behind?
The troop. The old troop. The old brigade. Oh, look who's coming to join us. Come in, my boy. My sweet little boy. Hello, King Sweet.
Are you talking about current, or are you talking about...
No, I'm talking about former friends and the glory of some former friends. But what I was thinking about, I've got to be careful what I say. I was just thinking about friendship generally as a bit of an issue for you, and it's been a bit of an issue for me.
Friendship for me, and I can only say this now as I've come to...
He was wet. I don't know where he's been.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Friendship was so intertwined with loyalty for me, and that is why some friendships went way beyond their use by date. And it's only in the last few years that I've been doing a fair bit of reading about female friendships and about how friendships can go in and out with the different phases of your life. Now, I didn't know that. It's a little bit like the family narrative once you committed to something, that was it for life. So whether it was having carpet on the floor, whether you reupholstered the same lounge suite 15 times over, you also stuck with the same people. I think that's probably why my parents could not handle what eventually happened to me in my marriage, because things and people in this family were set in stone.
Things and people. Things and people. Not much difference between things or people.
Probably not.
No. But yeah, that's interesting. What have you been reading on female friendship?
Oh no, I just mean sometimes there's an article in the newspaper.
Yeah, and you just
and I just find that interesting because I think it is quite something that women struggle with.
Absolutely.
You know, there's I was going to say a myth, and I probably I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but there is a myth around female friendship and how it's, you know, so strong and you know, lasts for life. And I'm finding, I find interesting articles when people are saying, well, no, this hasn't happened for me. You know, as you go through life, you're going through different stages and coming across different people, and sometimes some people will let go in that process.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's a I know what you mean by like a mythos or again, we could use the word narrative. There's a narrative, or there's a cultural mythos surrounding different kinds of, like, we have friendship as one thing, then we have friendship between women, and then we have mateship between men.
Yes, they are great.
And then
but they're great Australian narratives, aren't they?
Well, I think they're universal.
Yeah, true.
I wouldn't say they're specific to Australia. Yeah. I mean, like, particularly, I mean, this is like the subject for so many novels about female friendship.
Yeah.
And even in a modern context, I mean, like, Sally Rooney writes about female friendship, doesn't she, to some extent?
Yeah.
Even though she's my age, or my demographic, my age group.
But in my case, as I said, there really was that guilt aspect, and I think that's, I'm not making a huge generalisation here, but I think that's a female thing. You'll feel guilty about letting go of things.
Yep. Yeah.
Somehow you've failed if the friendship's failed. I'm making wild.
No, you're not.
General statements here.
Yeah, but that's okay.
But I have just recently been to some retirement functions at my
your formal work
school, my former workplace. And what did I do with two people that I haven't had much contact with in recent years? I went straight over to them and said, "Hi, I didn't really mean not to be in contact with you. How's life been?" So there was sort of a confessional statement.
Well, surely that's to do with I don't. You're not making generalizations. I would say, doesn't that have to do with women's socially conditioned role as the glue, the facilitator, the whatever? Like women play that role in families purportedly. I'm saying culturally.
Well, they do, and again, I played that role quite a lot in with some friendship groups.
Well, and actually, this is a good little teaser, because very recently I've been thinking, I really enjoyed doing this with you. Amazingly. You know, it does. There are days when I consider getting in my car and driving into oncoming traffic, but again, but for the most part, yeah. Look, this is actually quite fun, and I'm like, you know, if we could just get the bloody memoir done and out of the way, I'm like, there's probably more, not not more interesting as in better, but just more interesting to me. But part of the problem with doing a memoir is that like I think I've said it before, it's like you're locked into the past and you're locked into all this sort of stuff. The reason I like fiction so much is that you can take bits, you can take elements, but then you can create,
turn them around,
and there's sort of aspects to, we've talked in the past about, about using female friendship as a potential sort of driver for a narrative that we might want to write together if we can get this memoir finished.
Get past the past.
If we can get past the past,
that'd be great.
No, but I can sort of see this, because I really thought like, hey, we're going to do this 20 episodes, which it might be a few more, it might be a couple less, but roughly 20 episodes of this memoir and podcast, and I'm like, that'll be it. And then I don't know, more recently I'm like, yeah, it could be fun to just keep going and like write something else, because anyway. But I think you're right that like female friendship is a thing, right? It's like a cultural thing, and like surely now I'm generalizing. I never really watched daytime TV shows like Oprah and stuff, but like I get the sense that, I know she talks about a lot of like public interest things,
right?
But I do think at her core, like, I mean, she's got a huge female fan base. Like, I'm sure she's talks about relation, like that kind of daytime talk show format with the women's interests stuff.
Yeah,
I'm sure friendship, it's all about relationships and function. Like, is the family running smoothly? Is my relationships with my parents or my husband or my kids? Like, it's all that stuff.
Is that a particularly female thing to do, though? Always seeking out confirmation of what they're doing. Always seeking out advice or wanting to hear how others are doing it. Like when you have a newborn baby, you go to the maternal health centre and you listen to the other stories because maybe you're a bit anxious. Is that? And I'm just putting that out there. I'm not branding anything.
I think women just give a shit more. Like generally, like I really just think they care more. Truly.
Yeah.
And I, I'm not shitting on men by saying that, but I just think it's true. And I've always been, this is a weird thing to say. This is a really weird thing to say. I was going to, what nearly came out of my mouth then was, I've always been envious of women. I have always been envious of the culture of communication that women are somewhat indoctrinated into, but that they have at their disposal. Because I'm a chatty, talkative, articulate. Like I'm not. I don't feel particularly male, like in that way.
Oh, I know what you're saying.
And
what you're saying is you're interested.
Well, yeah, I'm interested in stuff. That sounds terrible about. I'm not writing men off. What I'm trying to say is that like, for all the drawbacks to being a woman in the culture, and we know what those things are, right? And it's like you've got body image and all that sort of stuff. There's all kinds of negatives, right? But I always saw this like overwhelming positive being like, women appear to always be kind of working on themselves, and that's permissible. Like there's so many magazines, there's so many daytime chat shows, there's so many like little articles that like women will, here's 10 ways to sort of make your lunchtime at work meaningful, even if you've only got a short amount of time. Like that's an article I can see a woman reading and not a man. Like there seems to be like a kind of an engagement with life.
Yeah, and there's also the element of relatability. Like if I'm reading this article on friendship, I'm immediately thinking of my own stuff and, oh, yeah, okay, so that fits with me, or that's interesting, you know. Yeah.
I don't feel engaged with any kind of culture of being male. And then when I do see men, I mean, it's the same feeling I have whenever I've seen or experienced men. I'm just disappointed. Like
yeah, but that comes back to sort of cultural, social stereotypes, isn't it? Like the blokes interested in the footy scores for the week. Well, guess what? I am too.
Yeah.
I think that's sometimes just put down. Put on top of men and women.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For
and
sure. Absolutely.
I don't really. I hope I'm not sounding like I'm subscribing to that. I'm not subscribing to all women do this either.
No. I don't think you're coming across that way. I hope I'm not either. I don't. I just mean like. Yeah. I mean what I said. I think that there's a culture of communication, and that women are slightly more engaged, and I think that that's a positive, and it's something I think I'm a little bit envious of. But yeah, I mean, look, as it relates to you and as it relates to, you know, the.
Yeah, did you want to get back to adolescence?
Well, yeah.
In terms of friendship.
Well, the reason that this came up was, or the reason that we've kind of gone the way we've gone just now is I think like there is something about. What did you do? Which did you forget?
Rubbish bins.
Didn't you put them out?
No. Yes, I did, but I didn't add to them. There's something going there. Right.
Thanks for getting that on record. It doesn't matter.
No.
Will we get it next time?
Yeah.
You know they collect the rubbish every week.
Yeah, sure.
Well, that was perfect. No, but there is something baked into your memoir about relationships with other women, and what I find interesting is the influence of your mother and your relationship with your mother as it relates to your relationship with your friends. So like, you know, we're going to do another, by the way, if you haven't subscribed to the Substack just yet, we're now doing a reading after the episode, which will come out the following day. And the chapter that I'm going to read is your chapter on friendship. And a few things happen in that. Like there's an incident with your mother where you're a child and you're at a caravan park.
Oh.
There's that.
Yes.
Do you want to describe that?
Yeah. See, isn't it interesting? You know, beginning this whole process of writing the memoir, there's particular incidents that have just come to mind, and they're not very nice incidents.
No, they're really quite shocking, actually.
And I mean, that was an eye-opener for me. The fact that I could immediately recall those. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was incredibly nice. Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
We were just at a caravan park, and I think we had our caravan, our annex set up, and I never really liked going out and just playing at the playground equipment if there was a lot of kids out there, because again I was used to being on my own doing that. My background. So I'd be in the annex and I'd be glued to a book, I'm sure. And this particular day I was, and there were children playing outside, and yeah. And the kids must have seen me, but Mum goes out and makes a big deal about it. Oh, you know, why don't you ask her to come outside? Oh no, she won't come outside. She's too busy reading. Like, I'm not I'm not really delivering this really well today, but it was a mean, nasty thing. Like, she was engaged with the children who were playing outside against me, who didn't want to join in.
She
and making fun of me. She was sort of being playful with the children. Oh, forget about asking her. She just reads a book all day.
Well,
I have a vivid memory of that.
Yeah. Well, your mother could be goading and bullying.
Yes.
Like, a lot.
Yes.
And like, you know, I remember that of her as well. Like, she would always sort of make fun of you and me as well. And like, so in this particular set of circumstances, you're at a caravan park, there's a group of children playing who are roughly your age. Your mother believes that you should be socializing with them.
Yeah.
So her way of doing that is, instead of just like calmly, I think she does suggest to you and you're like not interested or whatever, but instead of just leaving it be, she essentially befriends the children.
Yes.
And then leads them in bullying you.
Okay, that's right.
It's so weird.
That's a perfect description.
And I'm like, when you described it to me the first time, I was like, I mean, I was just like appalled and shocked.
And see, I can't recall what happened. Did I go out and play?
No, you didn't.
Or did I retreat more into my book?
No.
And I did
not go out and play.
I remember the bullying and the goading.
Yeah.
So, look, she had a habit of... I think there was some good intentions there, generally with me and my shyness.
Yes.
But her way of handling things was to throw me under the wheels.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Like, no, it's sort of like, it's almost like, my interpretation of it too is, there's almost this aspect of her taking offense to people not you know, taking her up on what she suggests they do. So like, so like, she suggests that you go and play, you don't. And by the way, you don't. Like, you actually remembered it more clearly.
When we were trying to...
So you don't go out and play. You stay inside the caravan reading your book because that's what you want to do. You're an avoidant kid anyway, which we've established and all that sort of stuff. But it's like, she wants you to be more like something else, and because you're not, you're just kind of then open to ridicule. And I remember that of her, where it's like, unless you do what she wants, she just
turns very quickly.
It turns so quickly. Like, there's an aggravation in her, and I can't fully understand what it is. She needs people to do what she wants, like in a really deep-seated way. Like, she needs them to do what she wants. It's not just about control. It's about like something deeper.
But so is that her relationship with the world? I can make this happen. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of her own rejection sensitivity. Like, you're not doing what she's suggested, so, well, stuff you.
But it also sets me up to be the person, I was going to say, in terms of friendship and in terms of me socialising, it has to be a safe space for me to do that. Like, I'll have my set friends at the primary school level. I'll have my set friends when I'm an adolescent. I have my set friends as an adult. And people would say I was outgoing, but I'm only outgoing in that really safe space when I completely know the people. So, you know, does her attitude sort of set that up for me? Like, I find safe places.
Well, I think that it does. I mean, why I sort of enfold your relationship with your mother into your relationship with your friendships is that, like, how you relate to other people, how you relate to friends is established in your relationship with your mother. Like, her presence really dictates your other relationships. And this bears out in adolescence, where you know, like one of the things that you describe, and that you know, I've tried to fit them together, and perhaps I've done it awkwardly. Like I'll read the stuff later because I also, like, if it's not clear, I do edit Mum's work, and so I've set it up in a way that I've drawn that line because I see how you respond. Like her goading causes you to react to a friend in a way that you later regret. Like there's an incident where it's like,
yes, there's another.
There's sort of it's like teen girls,
yes.
And then you know you're friends with someone, but they kind of have their group of friends, and you just have a one-to-one friendship with them.
It's my adolescent friendships are interesting because I have my core group.
Yes.
Being girls who come from the same side of town, and also the girl that I befriended as soon as I went to the convent. See, she's friend for life.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I go through the secondary schooling years, I like another particular girl. And she has a sort of she has a core group around her, and sometimes we're all together. But there's sort of two distinct groups.
Yeah, of course. Okay. I know that from school.
And this other friend's having a birthday, and of course one must always give the present on the birthday.
Oh, this is your mother, yeah.
Yes. So I make an effort to go around and knock on my friend's door and deliver the present, and that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sort of find out later that, and completely, it's not really, you know, it's not my business, but she's going out with her core group to celebrate.
Yes, yeah. And you're not invited.
And that's organised by the members of that group.
Yes.
So it's not, we're not inviting Deborah specifically. It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm a bit miffed. Maybe I'm a bit miffed because I really do like this. I'm trying to straddle two sort of
social
friendship groups,
yeah.
right? And sometimes, as I said, we're all together, and sometimes we're not. And of course, I come home and relate this. Well, my mother's sense of equity and fairness, she would say, kicks in. And, what are you going to do about this? And you have to, state your feelings, and this is just ridiculous. Here you are giving the present on the day, and this is not being rewarded. Oh. And it becomes a huge thing. Yeah. And I think I'm goaded into actually expressing this.
Yeah, so
and saying this to my friend.
Yeah.
And it causes, look, I don't think it upsets my friend, but it causes me much angst for a long time afterwards. Yeah. So much so that many, many years later, I'm at a school reunion and I'm sitting opposite the other friend who organised the little group. Yeah. And guess what? As an adult, she has no memory of that, and we're having a great chat. And I've carried this guilt
for a lifetime.
All my life because A, I did not want to open my mouth, and B, why would you turn that into something that it wasn't?
Well, this is why I wanted to do the novel So Long, See You Tomorrow, because of this whole thing about holding on to little things for your whole life. But I just want to say, like, on that, like, your mother has this way of internalizing things that just don't belong to her. Like, your interaction, and the same thing happened to me.
And it's a slight against her.
It's a slight against everyone. Like, the fact that you're excluded from that party, and it's like they go out for dinner or something.
Yes.
I can't remember, but like,
it might have been at the other girl's house.
all right. But like, you know, of course you weren't going to get invited to that, because they're a clique, and you have a personal relationship with her that's outside the context of that clique.
Yeah,
and like, that makes complete sense to anyone who's ever been to school and knows about groups and whatever. But it doesn't make sense to your mother, because she has no experience of anything.
Well, that was what I was going to say. She does not have that experience.
She doesn't have that experience, but also, like, she lives vicariously, right? So vicariously is a word for basically living through someone else.
Yes.
So, like, you live through the success of your child. You live through your child's life or somebody else's life. And she lives almost her whole life vicariously.
That's
through
right.
her husband, through you, through me.
Absolutely.
And that's why so much is at stake. It's her life too.
Yes.
She attaches so much. She's inside you.
I don't think I was, obviously fully aware of that until we've sat down and had these conversations. And it's visceral.
It's visceral. I mean, there's two ways of describing it. One is, as I say, like she lives vicariously through other people. And then the other word is enmeshment. Like, you have an enmeshed relationship, which is essentially one and the same thing. Like, like, people are living their life through the lives of others. And that is the whole reason that everything melts down so terribly after your divorce, is that experience of people basically living inside your skin, it intensifies until it reaches a point that is actually untenable, and your parents have to move out. They don't move very far, and it really just continues at a lesser frequency. But that is that's ultimately how we got here. Like, I mean,
of course, and I think because I didn't really fully understand that, I sort of almost jokingly said, well, it happened to me, not to you.
Yeah.
But it did happen to her.
It did happen to her. And I think that's the crucial thing.
And it did, not just her, it did happen to my father.
Yes.
And which, yes, we can go there.
No, you go. You want to say something?
Oh, well, that's at the core of it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, I always knew those things about my mother, but I didn't really fully appreciate that fact about my father.
I think as, like, I'm trying to reflect on this from my end. Like, I think I always felt like a sock puppet, really with three people's arms up inside me.
Yeah, sure. I can see all of that now.
And it took me to, 5 years ago, when I completely had a nervous breakdown.
Yeah, of course.
Got into trouble, tried to kill myself.
Yeah.
That I have realised how long those vapours and fumes have just lingered in the air. Like, that my whole life I was still operating with that inside of me.
Yeah.
And that kind of confusion as to how do I make choices, how do I live my own life, the entanglement, the enmeshment, the being lived through vicariously, being aware of it. And to go from that level of intensity to a total, on my you know, there's nowhere for me to go because I have that level of intensity. I go to my father, there's nothing but disengagement, disinterest.
Yeah. I'm not present.
Those extremes were so disorientating for me that, you know, I got quite sick inside. Like, I did not know how to, like, locate myself.
Yeah, and because of this enmeshment, I'm therefore not present. As a mother.
Yeah. But look,
we're getting off the.
No, of course. You know, it's all, we can talk around things. We can talk all over the place. It's okay. But look, it made me think. Like, well, it made me think more generally about relationships and your attitude and my attitude and your relationship to and my relationship to relationships themselves, including friendships, including romantic relationships. Like, what are they for? What do they give you? How do they make you feel? Because,
well, probably the example set was that they're transactional. Like, you know, if you do this good thing, it'll be repaid.
It's so interesting.
For example, you deliver the present on
it's so
on
interesting
the date,
that's the first thing you're saying.
Is that
yeah? It's 100%. Like, yeah, it's funny. I don't think I would say it first, and yet you're saying that first, and I'm like...
But that's the example I was set.
Yeah,
I see that now.
You're so right, though. Yeah. Like, I believe that my transactional understanding or sense of relationships has been the core problem I've brought into all my relationships.
Yeah.
And that's why they've gone so poorly, because I come into them as someone operating from a transactional place, not as someone who really fully appreciates that other person.
Yes, look, but that's interesting, isn't it? Because my parents would talk about, well, actually, I don't think they did. My father would talk about this great love and support and respect for each other. But there's always a transactional aspect.
Mum, it's
if I just to use a simple example,
right.
my mother was very good at choosing presents and making sure that presents looked good or you know, they were wrapped beautifully. And I get that from her. I love doing that. But I don't care about the return. She always cared about the return if people didn't give the right response.
Yes.
Now, I never... I'm only talking about that now, but I can see that, you know, even if we do the lolly bags for the kindergarten class, they have to be the best lolly bags, and someone has to say they are.
Yeah.
Is that? Am I being mean saying that?
No. It's entirely true. Like, but
that's what I meant by transactional. There has to be the appropriate response.
Everything is conditional. Like,
yes.
I don't know how many times I have to tell you this to get you to accept it. But like, if you see all that talk of love and support, Mum, if you didn't do exactly what was expected or told, then you were cut out. Like, the tap of love and support and respect was turned off pretty fucking quickly.
Yes, you have always said that, but I don't think I ever saw that in my own case, because I was such, and I don't know why, wired to be or made to be. I was a compliant child, a compliant daughter. So it was very easy to say, well, we've just got this great relationship.
I have a theory.
Because I never really tested it.
I have a theory about this.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
And I work backwards from that. I say you didn't test it because you knew deep down. So your father is like classic father of a drug addict. Now that is very hard to describe, but what I'm trying to say is he is the parent, the cliche of the parent with a drug-addled son or daughter.
That keeps the child addicted or is happy. No.
Listen to me.
Yeah.
Listen to me. He is so switched off emotionally.
Yep.
Like he does not perceive anyone's problems, right?
Yep.
He expects 100% loyalty and compliance and allegiance to his every whim and idea.
Yep.
While at the same time, he espouses judgment after judgment after judgment. He is not someone anyone can actually go to in a crisis. No male child, especially, would trust him with private information.
Really?
I know that because I was his male child. Like, there is no way I would tell him anything. I would never confide in your father a single thing because he doesn't understand it.
No.
And he loses his mind about it. He's so pious. And what ends up happening is that you internalize all your own problems. You're left essentially to deal with all your own problems. And people who are neglected emotionally, they turn to drugs and alcohol. I mean, I did. And and then the whole time you're like, I can't ever let this person find out who I really am because they condemn me every time they open their mouth. Like your father is so certain that the person sitting in front of him or beside him thinks and sees the world exactly as he does.
Yes.
That you cannot speak to that person because they are not open to anything. And you end up just feeling ashamed. I mean, your father caused so much shame in me. Like, I spent so many hours next to him while he went on and on and on and on, condemning everyone. Well, I had lots of thoughts and questions about the world. I'm never going to tell him a single one of those things.
Yeah. Sure.
And that's what I mean. It's like and his lack of understanding, his sincere lack of emotional intelligence and compassion. He is that parent sitting in the drug clinic and the son or daughter is trying to come off heroin and he's going, I don't know what happened. We gave him everything. We raised him right, you know? And he believes, well, this is just a lemon kid. This is just a faulty kid.
Yeah. I definitely see that now.
He's not coming with compassion. He's not coming with an open mind.
No.
Of how did we get here? He's coming with, why did you go wrong?
Yeah. Sure.
And I think that you knew this. I think
Okay.
you always knew this. I genuinely believe that. I believe, and this is why I think that they were the enmeshed parents that they were. Because if they weren't enmeshed, you'd never hear from them again. And that's what happened to me. I mean, they moved away when I was about 17.
15, 16.
16. I never spoke to them again. And they had dictated every minute of my life until that point.
Yeah. And they didn't know
They
how.
never reached out.
Well, they didn't know how to.
I mean...
See, I just think it's a... no, I'm not...
No. I know
defensive.
you're not defending them. I know that.
They really just didn't know how to be with people. And you know, I'm sure we'll delve into that further. I mean, their own backgrounds dictated a lot of that.
Your father's disgust. Like, Mum,
yes,
he's so disgusted by people. And you know a
yes.
prime example of this,
yes,
right?
Yes. I've seen that more clearly in recent years, and then that's made me go back and re-examine other things.
I grew up around it. I mean, like,
yes.
I would listen to him be disgusted of every single person in society. And I was like,
yeah.
Well,
And
you are obviously going to be disgusted of me if I ever say anything to you.
You were a little boy and growing up through your own adolescence.
Yeah.
Listening to all this.
Yeah. I mean, he's disgusted and horrified by sex. He's disgusted and horrified particularly by different varieties of sex. He's disgusted and horrified by anyone who, you know, finds themselves running afoul of anything. He's disgusted and horrified by anyone who, you know, takes a day off. He's disgusted and horrified by anyone who, you know, acts on a single impulse regarding their own happiness. He's disgusted and horrified by people who eat too much. He's disgusted and horrified by anyone who does anything other than just toe the fucking line. And like it's and the few times I genuinely tried to engage him later, when I was studying, you know, postgraduate stuff, I tried to get him involved and read the literature I was into, and, you know, because he claims to be this reader of things. And he was disgusted and horrified by the book I gave him and never talked to me about it again. No, I'm serious. Like I gave him one book and he just went, oh, that's weird. And that was it. That was it. That was it. Like, I spent years writing a thesis about that kind of literature, and he just went, not for me.
Yes.
With a shrug. And I just went, okay, well, it's my whole life, so fine. Not for you. You know, like, what am I meant to do with that?
Anyway, we're getting right past...
Look,
we came to be.
Yeah. But look, the point was on friendship and your relation to other people, and I see all the patterns. Obviously, what you're modelled is what you produce in the world.
And well, yeah, I see that more clearly now, and that, I mean, that happens in families. That's what happens, but
yeah.
I think, you know, you have to have a greater awareness
but
of the people around you.
It's very hard to develop an authentic relationship or friendship with anyone if you're just fundamentally not relaxed around other people, because you're always on edge about tit for tat, measuring it.
Yes, and there's also the other aspect of, like, everything has to be perfect. It's you know, perfectionism gone mad.
No one can see the real me. Or see me.
No, that's right. You can't have the people just rock up for a cuppa because you haven't got the best tablecloth and the best china on the table. It has to be all organised. See, you know, all those little things now just accumulate, and in my mind,
it gets so crazy,
and just, well, I suppose it just tells me a whole different story to what I believed about my upbringing.
What did you believe about your upbringing?
Well, maybe I just didn't pay attention to it much. You're in something, you just, oh, well, that's how it is.
But I see you get nervous interacting with friends. Like, you know, you kind of go up a level. This rigidity sets in with you.
You say that, yeah. You see me switch on the formal
Like
button.
you're so relaxed with me,
Yeah.
here, right?
Yeah.
Which is crazy because you shouldn't be, because we're recording this. So you should be much more rigid and scared about how you're coming across.
Yeah.
But like, I never see you this way with anyone but me.
Oh, right. Okay.
Do you think that's true?
I think that is true, actually, but until you pointed that out, I never really thought about it. But yeah.
Well, you know, like I'm not sort of just picking all your faults or anything. It worries me. Like it used to worry me. Like when I was a teenager, especially, and I started kind of having an awareness of friends and fun and that sort of thing, I was sort of concerned for you because you had a group of friends that were not fun, and it seemed to be letting you down consistently.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but then, and that goes back to me and my different little worlds. I think I was the most myself at my particular workplace.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
And that happened, as I said, I've just been to a couple of retirements and I was that same person and people were coming up to me and
yes, yeah.
And you know, and that was obvious to myself. I thought, yeah, okay, that's my persona, and that place actually saved me.
I totally did. Yeah. I mean, you put so much time and effort into your not just job but the culture of your workplace.
Yeah, it was,
and you loved it.
Yeah.
Like you were happy.
Yeah.
And that I always was happy with like I was always happy when you went off to work. I thought, oh, she's gonna have a good day. Like you know, and there were days where you were tired and you didn't have a good day and all that sort of stuff. But for the most part, it was certainly replenishing. It was giving you something.
Yes, and probably at the time, I mean, I can say this now, I mean, it was an escape from the rigidity.
Huge.
Yeah.
Escape from the rigidity, yeah. Yeah. I've always been troubled by that. Like, I've always seen, because, like, there are just little aspects of your parents that linger in your how you go about friendship. Like it's very rare, in fact it's almost an anomaly that you have anyone at your house. Like you don't.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying there, but I think it's more about circumstance. You know, people have moved to the country, people are doing
before they moved to that country.
Yeah, but I'm not really going to their house in that sense either. We go to cafes. Yeah. There's an aspect of what you're saying is true.
Yeah. I
know. And of course that's a carryover. Oh, you know, is the lounge room tidy enough?
Well, but I think it comes down to, it's not something about you. I think it's something about the house itself, which is that it has always been a position to defend.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And, you know, I used to pride myself that I wasn't like my mother in that sense, that, you know, you could knock on the door and come in. And I do think, I don't think I'm as rigid about things as her, but I take your point. There could be some, you know.
Speaking of knocking on the door and coming in, can I just say, and I just, while I think of it, and I know it doesn't really relate to this episode, but I do just want to say it, is like, it has only occurred to me, I mean, it's occurred to me, you know, certainly before today, but it's only relatively recent that it's occurred to me that from the age of 2 and 11 months, I have never been in the same room as my parents.
Ah, I know.
And
my
I
goodness.
have never been in, obviously if I haven't been in the same room, I've never once had an opportunity to talk to my mum and dad. Ever. Since I was 2 and 11 months old. Think about that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I was 21 years of age and I wasn't at home that my father entered the house that I lived in with my mother, because you brought him in to have a conversation very quickly. Oh, not quickly, but you brought him in to have a conversation about something. But I didn't realize that he had only walked across the threshold of the door once.
Yeah. We're getting into a whole...
we're not there.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
That's far
Yeah.
ahead in the memoir to address.
Yes.
But I just on record of, and I just feel as if, could just be me, but I feel as if this has permeated everything. That the house is something you defend, that we don't mix. I mean, if I have never had the audience of my mother and father in my entire life since I was 2 years and 11 months old, you know, like, it's not really a group of people that get along with others.
Well, actually, who were the orchestrators of that circumstance?
Your parents.
I think I can say that now, yes.
Stay tuned. See you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, God.